Hello and welcome to American Frontline Nurses podcast, Ask the Nurses. I am Nurse Julia, and we've got Nurse Jess, and we've got our fantastic and famous Nicole Siratek. We are going to be discussing lots of different things today regarding some sensitive topics. Let's put it that way. And
don't worry, guys, we're not going to talk about penises and vaginas, so that part's okay.
We are going to be discussing legal matters and where, if you are in need of legal assistance for your nursing career, the best place that you can reach a like-minded attorney that's actually going to be able to help you and that is vetted by a very good network. In fact, Nicole, isn't this where you found your attorney?
My attorney's in the Bridge Referral Network. Yeah, like I was lucky because I had contacted attorneys and they're like, well, first off, I'm a Democrat. Second of all, you need to stop murdering kids and grandparents. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Crazy? So I'm like, and you know, when I talked with my attorney, he's like, oh my gosh, I had a family member that died because of remdesivir. I totally understand what's going on. I'm like, God. And you're not a Democrat.
2 pluses.
I feel like most attorneys are. Like, be hard to find one.
I don't really care what, but I'm just like, what if that other guy had been like, oh yeah, I'll take your case, and then done a piss poor job just to sell me down the river? I mean, there's supposed to be ethics behind it, but since COVID, I don't trust nobody's ethics.
No, it's very, very hard to trust people nowadays. But we're going to invite Tyron with Bridge Referral Network to come on and tell everybody about her organization and how it works and how she vets everyone. And here she comes. Hi, Tyron. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We are excited to have you explain how our viewers and other nurses can find like-minded attorneys that are actually going to help them in their states. Your network, do you have attorneys in all 50 states that you've been able to vet?
We have attorneys across the country who are willing and able to accept nurses in most areas of law, primarily nursing cases, because it's such a unique area of law. We have to find them because they're hard to find, vet them, and then refer nurses who need that kind of service to the attorneys.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that work, because it's hard. I know so many people have reached out to us, like, how do we get help? And we've been able to send them your way, because we don't know. It's kind of it's one of those things that, like, yes, we're nurses and we know that there's attorneys that are going to help, but it's like, how do you find one that's actually going to help? So if you don't mind, could you tell us a little bit about how you got started with your network?
Sure. So I have been in this field I worked for attorneys for a number of years, and I had an issue where I had to hire an attorney myself, and it wasn't, he provided a great service, but I realized not all attorneys are good attorneys. And then I got into where I was helping an attorney on administrative law. And it's such a unique area of law that not a lot of attorneys do in the country. So the worst thing, like I tell people, I tell nurses that contact us all the time, the worst thing you can do if you have a nursing case, is to go to the wrong attorney.
Yes.
Because of course, like PI, which is personal injury, criminal, like there's big names out there. But if you go to one of them for a nursing case, they won't be able to help you because they don't know the administrative laws and they're not specialized in that area. So you have to go to someone that knows that law and that knows the players involved in the administrative process so that you can get a favorable income. It's just like if you were in a criminal case, you wouldn't go to an immigration attorney because they
Mhm.
don't know the system, right? So it's the same thing. It's just helping nurses find those specialized attorneys and referring them. And so that's how it started. I started with finding attorneys for the nurses, and then it kind of branched into other needs that nurses have. So, of course, nursing issues, employment law. Sometimes nurses run into criminal issues, personal injury, family law, all sorts of stuff. So, we're focused on the nursing cases right now, but we do branch out and provide the referrals for other areas of law across
Oh,
the country.
that's good. That's good to know. Do you, by chance, because I know we get this question all the time, is malpractice, especially with all of the stuff that's been happening in the last couple of years in the hospitals. Are you guys working on vetting malpractice attorneys at all?
We haven't been asked about malpractice.
Okay.
Usually, if you're employed at the time of the incident happening, the employer will cover your legal cost. So sometimes you could just go that route. But if there's a need for it, I'll definitely look into it. I have
Well,
nurses that come to me.
I was thinking about like patient wise, if there's like patients' families, if they were looking for malpractice, or
Oh, I see.
you just work help with the nurses.
Yes.
That's what. Okay,
Yeah,
but
we're nurse focused on helping the nurse because I mean, there's enough help for like doctors and all those other
Mhm.
people, but the nurses don't really have enough help out there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do
we're
we
the
ever know
Crystal
that?
down the river.
Yeah.
Taryn, do you remember the case? And this was probably over 10 years ago. There was a nurse in a NICU at one of the Vegas hospitals, and she was saying, hey, these, gosh, I'm not a NICU nurse. The umbilical IVs, they were like picks, but they would go into the umbilical artery or umbilical vein. This is how long it's been since I've done NRP. But she's like, they're defective. The tips of them are like blowing out and it's killing the babies. She's like, I think that there's something wrong with these. And the hospital said she was killing the babies and doing something like sabotaging them. And ultimately, it was a huge thing because they told us about this in nursing school. And ultimately, everything was dropped, and the manufacturer of these umbilical IVs or PICC lines, whatever, were sued by all these families. Apparently, it was happening across the country. She just happened to be the nurse in Vegas that noticed it. But the hospital threw her under the bus and said she was the one killing these babies. Do you remember that story?
I don't, but I'm not surprised that a hospital would throw a nurse under the bus.
Mhm.
They do
And
it
then
all the time.
They
And
do
there
it
was
all the
the NHS nurse, and this was the bizarre part. The NHS nurse that was killing the babies too by like giving them air embolisms and stuff like that. NHS, guys, is the National Health Services in the United Kingdom, so not here in America. But she was killing them, and people reported her. They're like, we think that she's harming these babies, these NICU babies. It's always NICU nurses. Like, what the fuck, people? And the hospital actually protected her and said no, but by then like 7 babies had died. It was like that was
Wow.
I guess in the NHS they like maybe it's cheaper if the babies died. I don't know because they're socialists like healthcare system. But yeah, I mean that was crazy. And years later, I ended up talking with this nurse, and she said that there was no apology. She was still unemployable, and by then I had been a nurse for 5 years because I went to Vegas for my CCRN training, like a training course, to take the test. And I had come across her in one of these like things, like social events, and no one ever apologized for what she went through. She never got her money back for all her legal fees. It financially bankrupted her family. It was really bad. So guys, you need the right attorneys.
Mhm.
You do, and nurses don't realize that in situations, they're going to need two attorneys, right? They're going to need, like I said, the employment law if they're being fired for something, or most likely the hospital is going to report them to their nursing board. So they
Mhm.
also need a nursing attorney. An employment law attorney cannot do, I mean, they can try to do both, but it wouldn't work out for the nurse if they did, because again, they don't know the administrative law. They know, civil.
Mhm.
It's a different standard, different law, I suppose. And I'm not an attorney. I don't want to be one. They're great, but that's too stressful. It's just I have that experience that I've worked at law firms before. So, and I'm not a nurse, so I don't know what nurses are taught. I just kind of like I'm the middleman, bridging the gap between nurses and attorneys.
And that's so I'm thankful for that. Like, Nicole's attorney happens to be in that network, and we know she knew when she reached out to him that you had already vetted him, and he was, being the fact that he's part of that network, we knew we could trust him, that he was going to be an attorney that would actually help and not be like, so, I mean, I can't tell you how many people we've talked to, patients, nurses, across the board, where they've reached out, the office has taken their money and they get nowhere. They get their license taken away, or
They get sold down the river.
yeah, literally. And because the attorney's like, oh yeah, I can take that case, no problem. So come on over. And then no help whatsoever. They don't stand up for the nurse at all.
One nurse found
Sounds
an
like
attorney that was like in agriculture law or like water rights or something totally. And he's like, oh yeah, I could do that. I don't trust a brain surgeon to replace my knee, or the orthopedic surgeon to do my brain surgery.
Yeah. Or a plumber to fix my gas cap or whatever, something in my car. No, you got to trust a mechanic. You got to trust the right type of person to be able to help you with the situation that you need. Jess, you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, so I have a question about once a nurse finds you, are they able to do like a consultation with different attorneys, or do they offer like a free consultation, or how does that work?
So when a nurse comes to us and tells us that they need help, we'll ask them two questions. What kind of attorney do you need, and what state do you need it in? We'll give them the referral, and it's their job to contact that attorney and get a consultation. Most of the time, the consultations are free, but again, you have to, whatever that law firm says, I don't manage them at all. So you reach out to the law firm, and most likely you'll get a consultation right away. Another thing about Bridge is I focus on smaller firms because, again, I've dealt with working in a law firm, and big law firms are great. They have tons of resources, but the smaller firms have a better level of customer service.
Mm-hmm.
So I focus on them, and they're also like-minded, where they put, their passion is to help the nurses, so they will make you a priority. I mean, all attorneys will, I suppose, but my attorneys do definitely. So they just have to tell me those two things: what state and what kind of attorney. They reach out to the attorney, and the rest is history. Also, I'm also asking the attorneys that we refer to if they will reduce their prices for people that come through my network, and they have agreed to do that.
That's
Most
great.
of them have.
I was going to actually ask if they gave a discount if they found that office through your referral network.
Yes,
So that
absolutely.
Do they take insurance, like a malpractice insurance, like NSO, or is that something different?
That's something between the nurse and the attorney, how they work out their payment.
Okay.
Okay. Nicole, can you bring up her website and then have Tyron, would you be able to explain like how everything works? Because you have a system where they can join, correct, to be able to be in the network?
Yes, so if you go to our website, go to the, I think it's the pricing or the tab that's asking to join the network. Yeah, plans and pricing. There's 3 options to choose from. You can choose the PRN, which is like a one-time referral to any attorney. You can choose the monthly membership, and it gives you up to 2 referrals a month in whatever state you need it. So if you're a single state license, you would choose the Battle Board membership. If you are a compact nurse or a traveling nurse, you would choose the Basin membership because you would have access to attorneys across the country. And the reason for that is if you have a compact license, and you are disciplined in one state, all the states that are part of that compact will open up an investigation once they find
Mhm.
out about the discipline. So you're going to need attorneys in each state so that you can defend your license in every state.
Oh, wow. I,
Wow.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That
There
having to
was
have
a
it.
nurse practitioner. I can't remember what state it was. She got something happened. I don't know the full story, but she had a complaint filed against her nursing license, and she had to get an attorney in all 50 states. She had to have 50 attorneys. It was $100,000 worth of legal fees.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, because you have to reach out to each state. I mean, each state will investigate you, and you need an attorney in every state because let's just say the investigation started in New York. Well, you can't, and you have a license across the country. Nevada's going to investigate you, Ohio, Hawaii, Texas, everywhere that you have a license, either part of a compact or you went individually to go obtain that license. Every board will investigate you because they all report to like national databases, so they find out
Mhm.
about each other.
The nurse, it's probably through the NURSI
Right.
database that
Yes.
when one pops up, it goes across all of them.
And also, when you go to renew your license in that state, sometimes the nursing board will ask you if you've been disciplined anywhere.
Mhm.
And if you yes, then you have to tell them about the discipline, and that might open up an investigation.
Yeah, there's so many cogs to that wheel when it comes to having multiple licenses in different states.
And nobody teaches the nurses anything about this. This is a problem. They just tell you to be afraid of your state board and don't do anything that'll get you reported. I'm like, well, I didn't do anything to get reported either. And Team Halo decided to run a tsunami on the Nevada State Board of Nursing. And then they did it to Utah too. And I'm just like, okay, you want to disinformation, even though we don't have a disinformation policy. Here's all the evidence. Let's just be done with this nonsense right now. But because they didn't, I mean, and guys, here's the thing. Most people don't realize this is that you can be reported for anything and they will investigate anything. Here's an example of one situation. When I was on the Practice Act, I had heard buzzes that one nurse was investigated because somebody left a Post-it note on the Nevada State Board of Nursing on their door of their office in the Vegas office, and they had to investigate it. I mean, there was the gentleman on TikTok. He was a male nurse. He was a holistic nurse, and he was talking about how he ate apricot seeds and their health benefits. And lo and behold, there's multiple clinical trials, probably like 30, 40 clinical trials where the chemical found in these apricot seeds is now being investigated for anti-cancer. And Team Halo went after him and tried to get him delicensed. And he was never disciplined but he was investigated and it took 18 months. What was the other girl?
There's been so many of them.
There's so many. One girl posted on Dr. Jordan Peterson's Instagram.
Yeah, I was just going to say that one in Wisconsin.
And it wasn't anything inappropriate or anything against the scope of practice or anything like that. And good old that sassy NP, Tyler Cuck, went and filed a complaint against her nursing license. And it's still being investigated now. And it's been over 6 months now. No discipline yet. But I mean, people can just do that. They can just not fucking like you, and they will leverage your license against you. And this is why it's so important to get the right type of attorney and not one that's just going to take your money.
Yeah, I was going to point out, anybody can file a complaint against a nurse, and it doesn't even have to be someone that the nurse works with. It could be someone that you have a personal issue with, and then they just create a problem. And what nurses fail to remember is that the board, when they're investigating someone, they don't, well, I can't speak for them, of course, but their job is to protect the public, not the
Mhm.
nurse. So if you're being investigated, they're going to investigate you. They don't care if the person's across the country or the complaint was submitted anonymously. They're going to investigate it. They have to.
Or like the complaint came from Brazil or the United Kingdom or Canada
Or Australia.
Australia.
And
Damn the shit you can find out.
yeah.
There's this one guy named Stephen Frost, who is some guy who has mental health issues, and he's in the United Kingdom. And he has been reporting nurses across the United States.
And
he's not even in this country. He's not even in
Yeah.
this country.
So that's a question that I'd actually like to ask like the boards. Do they throw those out, or do they investigate those if it comes from a foreign country? I mean, there's no patient harm done. It's just because they didn't like something, in this case, this guy, he's a nut job, in my opinion. He looks for stuff to report people on, and then he files complaints. He finds out where they're at, and he files complaints.
He filed a complaint because somebody went to a DeSantis rally.
Yeah.
I'm like, first off, you're in the United Kingdom. What the hell do you even know about DeSantis? Like,
yeah. Why does it matter? Like, if I go to Burger King as opposed to McDonald's, is he going to turn me in?
She went to Burger King. I'm going to report her.
Yeah. I mean, that's how that's how so silly some of these things are. It's unreal. I know in my local area, there's a nurse at one of the big hospitals. She has had a Telegram chat for freedom-minded nurses in our area. And she got reported not only to the state board, but she got reported to her employer. So she lost her job, and she's last I heard, it's still being investigated because she's gone out and done the public marches at the Capitol and done different things in different areas. And, people don't like that. And it's just unreal. You can't even live your life if you put anything on social media.
That's another thing. A liberal doesn't like.
Mm-hmm. And they find out you're a nurse.
Well, that's what happened to the Wisconsin nurse, or she might have been Minnesota. I can't remember. Tyler Cuck went and contacted her employer and got her fired because he found her LinkedIn. And I'm like, nobody needs to be having LinkedIn, because that's exactly how they're finding your employer. Somebody tried to get a hold of my employer to get me fired. They're like, Paxan, we're all conservative here.
Yeah.
There you go. So, I mean, that's how he got her fired. And then he reported her to the state board. I have the screenshots. Tyler, I got the receipts, bro. If you want to come at me, I'll post it. No fuck with me, bro.
Yeah. I mean, because people reach out to us all the time and they're like, well, this just happened to me. And it's like, okay, we've been telling everybody, take your social medias down, or be very careful with them. Don't give them any ammunition. But yet people still don't listen to us. It's hard, because I get on social media and I see somebody, nurse so-and-so or so-and-so RN, and they're saying stuff. I'm like, you're just asking for trouble. If you click on their link tree or something, you can find all their information. Even Venmo, you can find information from Venmo, even if you think you have it hidden. It's unreal, the stuff that these people can find.
Yeah. And so, Tyron, that goes back into, what are some of the common cases or reasons people are getting reported to their boards that you've seen come through your organization that nurses need help with? Because not only can you help them get an attorney, but maybe some of this information might help people to not get in trouble in the first place.
Well, usually it's stuff done like when work related, like they fail to document something or diversion or something. But in those situations, sometimes they need an employment law attorney, and then they need a nurse attorney because the employer submitted them to the nursing board. So people just have to be very careful. And when you need help, reach out. don't, like I've said it several times, don't go to any attorney because it's not going to work out the best that it can if you had an attorney that's specialized in the areas of law that you're looking for. So it's hard for me to say what's the common complaint because, I've seen a lot of crazy things. So I don't know.
What would you say to the nurses that want to use a union rep and they just think that they're fine to just get their union involved and meet with their managers? And like, how soon do you need an attorney is what I'm asking.
For employment law, it depends on your relationship with the hospital or whoever, I suppose. I'm not really sure how to answer that because, of course, you need an attorney. Your union rep is probably an attorney, right? So they're helping you to try to protect your job. Does it work out? Sometimes it does. Sometimes you do keep your job. Sometimes it's best if you just move on.
Us though too.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust the union rep, honestly. Like
No.
our hospital here in my hometown is unionized, and it's the shittiest place to work for.
Yeah.
Tyron has to be professional. I don't have to.
And I know when I was in the union locally, the union rep was not an attorney.
Yeah.
The union rep was just a fellow nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they have poor understanding of law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if it's somebody that's usually a good advocate, it seems like those union reps get moved around or they get fired pretty quickly.
Yeah, they don't last very long.
No, they don't last long.
As being on the union rep board portion of it. Now, Nicole, do you want to show our viewers where we have Tyron's link if somebody does need to find us on our website?
Yeah, so guys, we know that you guys may not remember the Bridge Referral Network, but you do remember our website. So we want you, if you cannot figure it out or anything like that, you just have to go to our website, and on the homepage, you just scroll down. Okay, scroll down and you're going to find who we're working with the best. And here's the Bridge Referral Network. And maybe we'll put like click link or something like that so people know that you can actually click on that image and it will take you to the Bridge Referral Network. Okay. Because when people don't understand the reason we have the doxing form, let's see, where is it? Equip. You go to Shield. Equip. This is where most of the people that are coming to us for help, they come to Shield, our Shield page, and it says report doxing. Every single case that has reported doxing as a nurse has been reported to their board and need an unemployment attorney. Mm-hmm. And so we if they come to us and they don't know about the Bridge Referral Network, we also tell them about the Bridge Referral Network. So guys, all of you listening out there, you may not be a nurse, but maybe you know someone that's a nurse. You need to be armed with this information to help point them in that right direction, because if they get all the good nurses delicensed, you know who you're stuck with? The woke ideology nurses that are going to sell your ass down the river and give you remdesivir and discriminate against you because you don't have the vaccine. Once again, I can say what I want, and this does not reflect the Bridge Referral Network opinion, but it's just from what I've dealt with, this is exactly what goes down. So if you see someone that's getting doxed, anticipate that someone's going to find out who they are, and they're going to report them, say like, hey, you need to fill out this form. And then we refer them to the Bridge Referral Network, or on the homepage right here. Come on. My internet's going slow. We've been on for like 30 minutes. And so it's like, oh, now we're going to shut you down. Bridge Referral Network right here.
We've said a few keywords too. So.
Oh yeah, I did see. I'm like, why isn't it working? Why isn't the internet? I said a bunch of trigger words. So.
And there's other situations that come up with nurses that they need attorneys, not just like employment law. If for whatever reason a nurse is in a situation where they need a criminal attorney, we can eventually help them with that in every state. And with that, let's just say it's DUI. If you get arrested for DUI, you have to disclose that to your nursing board. Mm-hmm. So we can refer you to both a criminal attorney and an employment or licensing attorney. So we can help in multiple situations. If you get into a car accident, of course you find attorneys on the TV or whatever, but we can refer you to one that we've worked with and that's in the network, and those attorneys have agreed to reduce their prices. So it's a win-win.
Mhm.
And another thing too, guys, what people don't understand, that like at least in the state of Nevada, there's like a couple of like big no-nos that even if you aren't actively like working as a nurse and get a complaint like that, that if you break certain laws, they'll still take your license from you. So like assault is one.
Mhm.
That's a slippery slope, especially if you're defending yourself. But if you assault somebody, and you can also get reported. And it had nothing to do with like your nursing license. Like, this could have been in the Walmart parking lot, and a fist fight went down, and you can lose your license over that. Another situation we had, at least in the state of Nevada, is it was a child custody case, and dad, they were fighting over the kids. Dad said that mom was abusing the children. And so not only was she reported to CPS and
Mom,
what, bud?
want to wake up Dad?
No, we can't wake up Dad just yet. That she was abusing the children. She wasn't actually abusing the children, but because it's abuse of a vulnerable population, children and elderly, they also reported her to the State Board of Nursing. It had nothing to do with medical anything. But because there was a CPS case against her for child abuse, so now not only did she need her family law attorney, she needed the Bridge Referral Network as well. And once again, this initial case, let's get down, bud. Don't crack your face. The original situation had nothing to do with her professional career, period, whatsoever. So, and your child custody attorney cannot, at least I would not trust them to defend my license.
Yeah. No.
It's a different area of law that they probably have never touched before. So it's best to go to someone that specializes.
And the attorneys, are they defending nurses that were fired due to mandates?
Yeah, employment law attorneys are, sure.
Okay. Are you guys still yielding cases where that's going on?
Whatever a nurse calls us and tells us they need, we refer them right over. I don't really ask either for like a description of what happened unless they don't know what kind of attorney they need. They're just stuck in some interesting situation. But if they tell me, like if they give me a scenario and say, this is what I need, okay, this is where I think you need to go. And if not, come back and I'll keep doing research.
Okay. That's good. What about like divorce? I know when I got divorced almost 20 years ago, my attorney took me to the cleaners because it is. Do you have divorce attorneys or people that can help if a nurse was in need of finding a divorce attorney?
Yes, so that's family law, and we
Family
can
law.
refer them to a family law attorney. And the interesting thing about that is I've seen spouses use things against the nurse and report them to the nursing board. So if it's not a good divorce, divorces are not good, but if you run into that and then they're just being vindictive, they can report you anonymously.
That happened to me. My ex-husband,
Oh, really?
he didn't report me to the board. He reported me to my employer, who threatened to report me to the board because I was working at the hospital. I was working in home health, and I was working at the nursing home. And guys, there's only one hospital, one home health, one nursing home, like 10 years ago. And he went into the hospital, said I was stealing medical records. Now, mind you, there's only one hospital, only one nursing home, only one home health. So they probably got discharged from the hospital, went to home health, or they got discharged from the hospital, went to the nursing home. And he's like, oh, she's got all these medical records. And I'm like, yes. And when I said, I'm like, per regulation, they had to be behind 2 locked doors. It was locked inside my house, locked inside my home office, locked inside a file cabinet. But he had gotten a restraining order and got me kicked out of the house. So, I mean, like when you've got 15 minutes when the police show up and you just got off night shift, like, I'm like, what is I was totally sideswiped, guys. And that was like another situation where I had to get my divorce attorney dealt with it because he recanted everything because he was going to get alimony out of me. But Oh yeah. Sorry. Let's see. Let's get us back here. Like while I'm chatting over here. Where my divorce attorney was able to be like, he needs to, is this true? If not, if she loses her job, he's not getting alimony out of her. And so he recanted everything, but not before they had to investigate me to see if I was really stealing records. And I'm like, then home health had to talk with the hospital. The nursing home had to talk with the hospital. It's like, no, she just happens to work 3 jobs to pay for his sorry ass. But guys, what if my ex-husband had gone to the state board? I would have then needed an employment attorney on top of the divorce attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen. So you're going to need 2 attorneys there.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about it because the last time I used an attorney was for my divorce like 20 years ago, and it was awful. Like, and at the time I wasn't a nurse, but I can only imagine how vindictive my ex-husband was, what he would have done to me if I would have been licensed at that time. I mean, he strung the divorce out for almost a year. It was, and he kept saying it was because he had medical issues that he needed to be on my medical insurance. And it's like, no, because you just refused to work. And he was trying to get alimony out of me like Nicole's ex-husband was. And, he just like, he was covered and his kids were covered under my insurance. So it was a nightmare. And I could only imagine if I would have been licensed at that time, what he would have done to me to probably try to take my license away if I would have been licensed at that time. So when we think about attorneys, you don't just think about one, you can't just think about one piece of it. You have to think about the ramifications of, okay, this could affect this, this could affect this, could affect this, all the different things that it could, what it could actually affect and what it could do to you.
Yeah. And attorneys don't really have the best reputation either.
Mm-mm.
Like I've gone to attorneys and just given my whole sob story and thought, oh, they're really empathetic. Yeah, I'll go with this one that seemed the nicest. And it really burned me,
Yeah.
So it's really hard to find somebody like who, they're well equipped for the job and they're also empathetic and like-minded too. So
Right. I mean, I've been in situations where I've had to find attorneys for things, and you have to be careful who you trust because there are, attorneys do get bad names, but there are good ones. There's bad apples in every profession, but there's really good apples too. So I try to find the really good apples. Try to.
nice.
And that's
Oh, you're
so
muted.
cool. Oh,
I had nothing of consequence to say. I'm just like, she's creating all the bad apples for you guys. It's like your girlfriends when they're like, nah, don't date that guy. And you ignore all the red flags.
yeah. I know. It's like, I think back to like when I was going through my divorce and my mom and dad are like, well, we never liked him anyways. We didn't want you to marry him. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that then? It's like, you wait until after.
There should be a place where you can go and see an attorney and like, this is how many wins they've had. Like, this is how many, settlements they've gotten. Like,
It's like
rateaprofessor.com,
but it's like attorneys.
Yeah.
I mean, because like seriously, the number of attorneys that we used to, when it came to getting people IVM in the hospitals, we referred everyone to Ralph Florigo. We trusted Ralph. He gave he never raised his retainer price or his consultation fee or whatever like that on any of the people that we sent him. And, he did the job. There were other people. So he was charging $5,000 retainer to get the case done. And then other people were charging $20,000, $30,000 to do the same exact service. And Ralph never raised his prices ever.
Wow.
So yeah, don't trust just any attorney, guys. Like, go to the Bridge Referral Network for reals.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can help you. Definitely. Just tell us what you need and where you need it, and we'll send you wherever you need to go.
And that's just so helpful that you have that you've created that service for nurses so that, if we need something, the last thing we want to have to reach out for is an attorney, but we want to make sure when we do need one that we have someone that we can trust and they've been vetted.
Yes, because good old Team Halo, even though they got disbanded, are still doing fuckery behind the scenes, guys.
Exactly. They're still their website may be gone, but
they are
still
not.
something. Yeah. they're not. It's
But
very,
the shots one is still there, right? The shots for
Yeah.
around the world. Yeah.
They're really well funded, and so they're still
Mhm.
attacking and reporting people like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole nother episode. How they didn't want to give an organ to a little kid that wasn't jabbed with the COVID jab.
Tyron, for people that want to reach out to you, is the best way to go to your website to be able to connect with you?
Yes, go to the website. Let me know what you need. Choose a membership that works best for you. We can, and like I said, just tell us what state and what you need, and I'll refer you over to that attorney. The attorney that we refer you to is vetted. They go through extensive vetting. So they're vetted. They're willing to take on cases because some attorneys aren't even accepting new cases.
Mhm.
So the attorneys I'm sending you to are, and yeah, they'll help you right away.
That's good. Do you continually check up on them to see if they're still continuing to take new cases? Because I know like primary care doctors, they may be, taking cases in April, but then come June, they may not be taking new patients. Do you keep up on that so that you know?
Yes, actually, and that's a great question. So I do check in just to make sure that everything's fine. They're still taking our referrals, and also after we refer an attorney to a nurse, I'll follow up with the nurse several months later to see what their review of that attorney was, and if they give me bad feedback, then I go to the attorney and say, what's going on? We don't want to work with someone that we get bad feedback on. So we'll ask the nurse for the review. And if they are open to us posting it under our name, then we'll do that. Because a lot of things I've noticed too is nurses don't like to post reviews because they're scared that someone else will see that they reviewed an attorney and go after them.
Mhm.
So I do everything under our business name.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's really good.
Mhm. And aside from your website, what social medias do you have that people can find you?
We are on Facebook, X or Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I think everywhere. I think that's it actually. Yeah, those.
That's good because I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, why are you on Twitter? Why are you on this? And it's like, if you can at least cover, the majority of them. I know I used to get things of people like, well, why are you streaming things on Rumble and not on YouTube? It's like, because we got kicked off of YouTube where, it's like kind of, we have to be super careful where we post things.
They report us all the time. They try to report the botulism episode.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just canning, guys. How not to kill yourself when you can. These are the signs of botulism. Go to the hospital. I don't feel that's controversial.
Not at all. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy with the stuff that we have to deal with in our profession, and then to have to even worry if we do have to get an attorney that we might get taken to the cleaners. Happened to me personally. I was before my divorce was even finalized, I was like $35,000 in legal fees because every time we walked into her office, it was $1,000. And if we went into court, it was like $2,000. I mean, and this was 20 years ago. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I can only imagine what they charge now.
Yeah. Well, we're here to help whoever needs the help. They just have to be part of our network, and we'll definitely provide you with that referral. I don't, like I said, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a nurse. So if you come to me, tell me what you did right or wrong in nursing, I don't know. I'm not a nurse, but I can refer you to an attorney.
Yeah.
I'll refer to you a vetted one. So thank you for speaking with me and discussing the business. I appreciate it. And
Well,
hopefully to any nurses watching this, you need to be careful. You may not need an attorney, but if you do, you need to go to the right one. Just like you may not need malpractice insurance, but when you need it, make sure you have it, right? Same thing.
Yeah, that's definitely. Speaking of malpractice insurance, do you have a recommendation on on a company? Because I think I've got NSO. I mean, there's a couple different ones out there, but I don't know if there's like one that's better than another.
I don't know. I know a lot of nurses that have NSO. There's several out there, but I can't recommend one. I don't know anything about the policies that they offer. So
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And we hope that nobody needs to reach out to you, but we're very thankful that if they do, that you are there and that you vetted everybody so that they know that they're getting an honest attorney that's going to actually help them, and then also give them a discount for going through your network.
yes. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you.
We'll see.
Nice
This is the
meeting you.
best part of every episode. We'll see you guys next
Next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.